Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, where wealth strategies and investment wisdom collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
Hello, everybody. It's Letitia Burbaum, and thank you for joining in to the Zandbergen Report, where we are talking about wealth strategies and investment wisdom. Thank you, Paul, for being here today.
Thank you for bringing along a fascinating, I shouldn't say a fascinating guest, another fascinating guest.
Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you teeing us up here. So I have an amazing person here, Nina Amiri, and I just want to let you know that she's an attorney, she's a beautiful woman and a mom, and I'm so proud that you're here, and I'm so thankful for you to be here in the studio and share with our audience.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Okay, so great.
And she works with the one thing that nobody really understands, trademark, and my old world, entertainment law. That's what we were chatting about before.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I have some stories on both fronts.
Yeah.
Well, so we are able to talk about things today, but let's just dive into trademarks, if that's okay. And
Sure.
I know that you're local here in Southern California. You have an office right around the corner in Newport Beach, in Beverly Hills, and San Diego. So I know we're here local right now, and we're happy to have you here. Maybe you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background a little briefly?
Yeah, so I'm a Southern California native, grew up in LA on the west side, went to UCLA for undergrad, and when it was time to go to law school, of course I wanted to be with the rich and famous, so I went to Pepperdine in
school.
Malibu.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but not the easiest place to study. In hindsight, I probably should have gone somewhere else. But
How does anybody? I just got to interrupt. That's the most beautiful campus on the planet.
It really is.
On the ocean in
Yeah.
Malibu. I don't know how anybody goes to class.
Well, I mean, I got into Loyola, and that's the opposite. It's in downtown LA,
Yeah.
and when I went to Pepperdine, I just fell in love with the campus, and
So
everyone was
beautiful.
so nice there. I have to say, I had a really good experience in law school. So after that, I always kind of had a passion for entertainment, IP. Trademarks was actually the class I did the best in law school. So I knew from early on that that's what I wanted to get into. But just like everyone else, everyone's trying to get into entertainment and IP.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, I did something completely unrelated. I worked as a tax lawyer.
Okay.
And what I did was I negotiated IRS and state-backed taxes. Interestingly enough, that's how I kind of weaseled my way in the entertainment and IP world. Because a lot of people that are, in sports and entertainment end up having tax issues.
Right,
So
and they need help.
they need that kind of help a lot. So I joined a law firm that was primarily focused on entertainment and sports. I kind of learned through the School of Hard Knocks, doing all kinds of deals, film, TV, general business transactions.
You have some amazing stories.
I do have a lot of stories. So fast forward, I got introduced to one of the partners at One LLP, and I kind of learned about their practice. I, at that moment, was transitioning to Orange County, so I was excited to be at a firm that had both a Newport and Beverly Hills office. And it's been 2 years, and it's been awesome.
So wonderful.
I'm very grateful.
That's so great. So let's dive in a little bit, and you're here to talk about trademarks.
Yeah.
And I know that, why don't you tell the audience what a trademark actually is?
So a trademark is a word, symbol, or logo.
Okay.
And it's used to identify either a product or a service.
Okay.
A lot of people get confused between trademarks, copyrights, and patents. They're not the same.
Okay,
So,
I was just going to ask you that. So
Yeah.
why don't you define what's the differences between them?
So a copyright is a form of intellectual property protection where the copyright holder is trying to protect, for example, a literary work, a piece of art, a film. It's something that's actually fixed in a tangible medium of expression. So
Let's use like my business logo as an example. So I have my business logo. It's a beautiful circle, and we're Optivust. And so tell me, what is it? What is it that I'm protecting?
So you're protecting two things. You're protecting the brand, the name,
Mm-hmm.
the logo.
Yeah.
And then as a piece of art, you could also copyright that symbol.
Got it.
So you could have two layers of protection, trademark and copyright for that.
Got it. Got
But
it.
and then a patent is a form of IP protection for an invention.
So if I have a great idea and then I can do
It has to be something like a useful article. Like think of a machine, computer, and the difference between patents, copyrights, and trademarks is that patents are limited to 20 years of protection, and then they go into the public domain. So you get a lot longer time frame for protecting a trademark or a copyright.
So say I have this great idea. How do I know that it's patent or trademarked? So if someone else doesn't already have that.
You can do a search.
Okay.
So let's focus on trademarks. So, a lot of times people will come up with, a business. Let's say, it's a clothing company.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, Nina, I want to start selling these T-shirts. I came
Perfect.
up with this amazing name.
Yeah.
And I'll say, okay, great. So did you do a search? Did you see if anybody else is using it? And, they might say, yeah, I did some Google searches.
Yeah.
I went on social media. Unfortunately, that's not really enough.
Okay.
Kind of the first thing that I do when someone comes to me with a new name is I do what's called a poor man's trademark search.
Okay.
And it sounds offensive, but it
Yeah.
really isn't.
Tell me, what is that?
It's literally going on the USPTO website, uspto.gov,
Okay.
and then going to the search box,
Okay.
and putting in the exact name, and then
Okay.
you'll see if anything comes up in the same category. Now, a lot of people, they just stop there.
Okay.
That's not enough.
All right.
The
What's
reason
next step?
why is because if there are any other trademarks that are similar,
Okay.
so maybe they have a word that's added, or maybe they're not in exactly the same category but a related category. So let's say it's not, you find something with the same name, it's not a T-shirt, maybe it's a perfume or something.
Okay.
A lot of times consumers are confused when they see something in a related class, because
Right.
there are lots of clothing companies that have entered into the perfume market. So you have to be really careful, and the only way to really protect yourself is if you do a comprehensive search.
Okay. And how do they do a comprehensive search?
It involves ordering a report that's pretty thick. They
Okay.
can be anywhere from 200 to 500 pages. Don't worry,
Wow.
I don't make you read it. I do that boring work, and I read the whole
Thank
thing.
goodness.
Yeah, and I write an opinion letter, and I go through everything, and I'm looking not just at pending or registered trademarks. I'm also looking at business names. I'm looking at domain names, social media, because
All
in this
potential conflicts.
all potential conflicts, right? Because we're in a world now where you need to have your domain.
Right.
You cannot have a viable business if you don't have,
Right.
the .com or at the very least the .net.
Got it.
So once you've kind of gone through that step, and
Okay.
hey, it's pretty safe, there's nothing similar, then you can feel confident in moving forward with filing an application.
Got it. So where do they go to do this? They have to go through an attorney like you to have that search actually done? I mean, after they've done their Google search, of course. But
So the first steps, I usually just, I don't charge people. I'll go on the USPTO, and I'll do the poor man search for them.
yeah.
They'll usually do the Google searches on their own, but the
Yeah.
comprehensive search, you can order it yourself, but
Okay.
I don't know too many people that want to read
Right.
200 to 500 pages,
Right.
and they won't really honestly know what to look for.
Correct.
That's the problem. They
Got it.
haven't read enough cases to see where the court or an examining attorney has said, hey, this is a conflict, this looks exactly like this, or this is so close, so that you won't really know what you're looking for.
At what point do I want to engage your services? So say I know I don't want to go through that report, and I have a shirt company like we talked about, but at what point do I say I need someone like you to research this? Do I say, okay, let me get my company started, I get going, and then after I'm established, everything's good to go, then I reach you? Or do I reach
That's
you
a
in the very
really,
beginning? What
really
does that
good
look like?
question. This is where a lot of problems happen.
Okay.
Is people don't hire a lawyer early enough.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, I've had people, they already started manufacturing,
Yeah.
and they, kind of, they finally realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe we should trademark this.
Yeah.
And then they come after they've spent all this money on their branding, on their logo. And then I'm the one that has to tell them, by the way, there's somebody using almost the same mark in connection with, maybe clothes or shoes. And I think that this is actually probably going to get rejected. So I think the number one thing that you can do in any business transaction is get the attorney, get the advisor as early as possible. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And the sooner you have this information, the better. I've seen too many people waste money because they didn't do the search. They waited too long to file the trademark. And then they found out, oh gosh, I can't even use this.
Right. Yeah.
Or they just filed it, and then they had someone like, Nike or one of these big companies telling them, hey, you can't use that. We've got something similar. It's money just down the drain if you don't do.
And time.
Time, money, resources, everything.
Everything. Yeah. And I always say, to business owners when they're starting off, get your team in place and try to be able to work and have a good think tank. So be able to utilize your resources. Like we help our clients all the time. Like, hey, do you have the capital? How are you going to fund that? What does that look like on a financial side? Do you have your attorneys inside? Have you, like you said, have your trademarks researched? Are you able to use that? And sometimes people are saying, like, I don't have the money for all that stuff to start. But sometimes if you don't invest in yourself and invest in that company to make those right steps going forward, you're going to spend all that time and capital and realize you can't even use that and you have to start all over. Have you ever done that before?
Well, I mean, I've had people that, they went through, all these steps. They started manufacturing, and then they call me at the 19th hour. I'm like, guys, we can't use this.
Wow.
And I've had a client right now that, I had to tell them, and they were like, no, just file it. And I said, no, I don't want to file this. They got rejected, and now they've come up with another, name that it looks good. But, they went through 6 months of using a name that they can never have a federal trademark on.
Wow.
But, I think the two most important words is due diligence.
Yeah.
Just do your due diligence. Yep. It's a lot cheaper to do it at the beginning than to do it after the fact. I think that goes with everything in life.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Those are great words. So, so I understand that. How do I select a strong trademark?
So a lot of people think that coming up with something that's generic or descriptive is a good idea.
Okay.
When it comes to trademarks, being unique is the most important thing. The strongest trademarks are going to be what are called arbitrary trademarks.
Okay.
And let me give you a great example.
Yeah, please.
Apple is a word. When you use it in connection with computers, they're completely unrelated. That's an arbitrary trademark.
Got it.
The other type of very strong trademark is a fanciful trademark.
Okay.
So this is when you come up with a word that did not exist
fun.
before. So, Xerox. That's not a word that was in the English language. That's a strong trademark.
Got it.
A horrible trademark is, the pizza shop.
Got it.
Trust me, you don't want that. Now, are there trademarks that are very descriptive? I mean, the Pizza Hut, that's pretty descriptive.
Right.
How in the world did they get their trademark? There is a way to get a trademark when you have something that's very descriptive. After you've used it for 5 years.
5 years, okay.
And you can prove
okay.
That you have, been using it consistently, that, all consumers kind of know that you are the owner of that mark. You've got a lot of PR and publicity. Then you can file what's called a Section 2F application.
Okay.
And that's one way to get registration on a descriptive trademark. But I don't advise people to go that route. I say try to come up with something.
Living a little dangerous.
Well, it's, do you want to take the risk of going into business and knowing, hey, I don't have any federal trademark protection for at least 5 years and maybe forever, because it's a pretty high standard to prove that acquired distinctiveness. They're not handing out those trademarks.
Right.
So nowadays I really urge people, think hard. And if you have to hire someone to help you to come up with a name, hire someone, you know. And by the way, it's not me. I don't come up with the names. People are always asking, like, well, Nina, can't you just come up with a name? I'm like, when did I become a branding person?
We've got people we can connect.
Yeah,
you to.
I mean, I can make introductions, but that's not me. Hire someone that really knows, branding and come up with something really awesome.
Okay, so now what if I have this t-shirt company and I know that it's trademarked and we've done all of our due diligence and we're good to go. Now, I've always heard this term policing. So how do I maintain and make sure that my trademark is actually then not being utilized by someone else?
Okay, so a lot of people have this misconception that, okay, great, I have my trademark certificate, I'm done.
Yeah.
No,
it's not a set it.
You're not done. One of the responsibilities of a trademark owner is to police their mark.
Okay.
So what that means is that you need to be out on the look for infringers. If you know that people are using your trademark and you kind of sit on the sideline, an argument can be made that you have abandoned your rights in that mark. So
how long is that? Like, what is the duration? What if you don't even know that they're using it?
Well, no, I'm saying if you have knowledge, if you truly have no knowledge, but you also have to kind of take reasonable measures, right?
So it's like someone who knows but doesn't want to have to pay up the capital to go after them is kind of what you're saying, that they have knowledge but they don't want to sue someone.
They're just kind of sitting on the sideline like, okay, I see them, but they're in this other state and maybe they're not doing that much with it. No, you've got to send them a cease and desist. You got to tell them to stop.
Nice.
Because that small company today could be huge tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the kind of a couple strategies you can use.
Okay.
One of them is using like Google AdWords
to track it.
Yeah, to track it.
Notify you on
exactly.
Google AdWords.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then another thing that you can do is you can request a service where a third-party company, I used CompuMark for this, will literally send you a report each month of anything that's been filed, and you can pick which jurisdiction. So you can pick the U.S., you can pick, foreign territories. I had a company that they were really big in Asia, so we searched Japan, Korea, China, couple countries.
And would come up with a report for you every month.
Every month, and then I would go through that report and I would say, hey, this one looks kind of similar to ours. They're doing something that is closely related to what we're doing. I think we should send them a cease and desist letter. And that's not something that I think should be looked at. That's
like
it's
protecting
a cost,
your company.
Yeah,
right?
it's a cost that it's good value.
Right.
And it's a lot cheaper to catch these folks when they're just in the process of getting their trademark, because then people are more likely to change it, right? Because if I'm catching someone when they just filed, they haven't invested 2 or 3 years in it, and they're more likely to change it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, Paul, do we have a break coming up that we need to cut out for real quick?
We can do that, but we've only got about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
In the show, you guys are covering so much ground so quickly.
Well, let's just keep on going. That sounds
right.
perfect. Thank you so much for letting us know. Okay, so just because of time, I want to make sure, is there anything else that you want to make sure that the audience needs to know about trademarks? Tips for implementation or how to maintain them, or some stories that you feel like that invaluable through your process?
Well, I mean, there was one kind of situation that happened recently that is, I think, going to be more common in the future. So I have a client that, we got their trademark registration. They were very happy. And we got an email that somebody said, hey, are you guys, my client, just for background, they are in real estate, but they don't do real estate financing. They do something completely different in real estate.
Got it.
they said they got an email that said, "Hey, are you guys financing real estate deals now?" And my client said, "No. Why are you asking?" "Oh, well, we just got a term sheet where, this company said that they could finance this project in Santa Barbara, but they needed an upfront fee." And yeah, I thought that it was your logo in the corner. It looked just like your logo. So my client said, "Can you send that to me so I can see what you're talking about?" Lo and behold, the company had almost the exact same name.
Wow.
They used the same font. They used the same color. It was a hue of blue. It was like nearly identical.
And the logo?
The name. The name was the same. It was very similar. I mean, I was even confused.
Wow.
We did some research on them, and we found out that this was a new company that had just been opened. The principal of that company had opened 3 other companies prior to that. And he would do is every year he'd kind of form a new LLC. And it basically, his website, he had literally taken language from my client's website and put it on their website.
Wow.
So they were basically trying to mislead people into thinking that they were my client.
Oh my goodness.
Now, because we had their trademark registration, I filed what's called a UDRP, a Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Proceeding with WIPO. They're the World Intellectual Property Organization.
Okay.
And I wrote a complaint, and I showed the bad faith. I gave them a copy of their website, our logo, their logo. And, of course, they saw, yes, these people are acting in bad faith. We're going to take down their website. So we were literally able to shut these people down,
Great.
take down their website, and protect my client's reputation. So, if
Great job.
It's unbelievable. This stuff is happening literally
time.
every day now. There's so many scam artists. And without that registration, you really don't have really a lot that you can do to take them down.
So this is like your protection and your security for your company.
It really is. Yeah.
That's great. So, a couple things I want to ask you, and before we are done with the show, is how do people find you?
Well, I'm a partner at One LLP. Our website is www.onellp.com. You can Google me, and the website should pop up, Nina Mary. And I don't charge for initial consultations. So if you have some general questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I love working with new companies, startups, serial entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, everybody.
So great. We ask this to every person that comes in here that's a guest. So what is your ultimate lesson learned? And it could be in business, it could be in life.
This is my rule in business.
Yeah.
I don't want you as a client or as a business partner unless I would have breakfast, lunch, dinner, or drinks with you. If I don't like you enough to sit down for a meal or a drink, we're just not going to do business. And that's what if I don't like someone that much, we're not going to do business together.
Yeah. That's so great.
Yeah.
Good rule to have.
It is.
Yeah. Staying to what's important to you.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. But thank you so much for being here today. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
This was fun, and it went so fast.
Yeah.
I can talk all day, actually. So,
well, I hope that you, the audience, heard a lot of great things today. And if you want to hear more and you want to hear from Nina, you guys can log on. We're going to send it out as an email and links and online and social media. So download it and ask questions. And if you have questions for Nina as well, we'll point you in her direction to help you guys out. Thank you so much, and thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting bartzandbergen.podbean.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show, or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. Bart A. Zandbergen, CFP, and Letitia Burbaum, AIF, are registered investment advisors with Optivest Inc. and registered representatives with Gramercy Securities Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered by Optivest Inc. under SEC registration.